Hi, this is Kevin Thomas, and welcome to the At Home Film Festival. This week, we're going to take a look at movies about movie making and behind the scenes. Not documentaries, these are all fictional or based upon a true story. Sometimes fiction is really fact covered up, right? Anyway, we're not going to do big giant hits like Sunset Boulevard. Anybody could tell you about that film, which I do love. But this episode was inspired by a movie that I'm going to save for last that is seldom seen on TV, is rarely streamable, and the only way to truly watch it is to get the DVD. But you don't have to, because TCM is screening it this month, so I am saving it for you. Until then, let's take a look at movies about movie making. Let's go now. One of my absolute favorites is called The Player. Giant hit among critics in the early 90s. It won the Cannes Film Festival Award for Best Picture. Tim Robbins should have been Oscar nominated. It was up for Best Director and a couple of other Oscars, but it really didn't get the love from the Academy that it really should have. So Tim plays a movie mogul that gets involved with a murder. So while he's trying to cover it up, even the detectives are more interested in filmmaking and the Hollywood lifestyle, which is really funny. This movie probably has the most Oscar-winning actors in it. Most of them don't perform in it as actors. They play themselves in cameo roles, but you see a parade of Oscar winners in this film. And also, it's one of the best uses of the Robert Altman style where all these different people are talking at once. This happens in this film, a lot of background talking. So if you listen to every little action scene and everything going on and all the scenes around you, it just makes it even more interesting and gives you more depth. Terrific, terrific film, The Player. Find it on Max and find it on the Criterion channel this month. The Stunt Man is also a great behind the scenes look at movies. Oh, you can find this on Peacock, by the way. It too didn't get a lot of Oscar love. In fact, it didn't make a lot of money at the box office. But the little Oscar love it did get were in big categories. Best Director, Richard Rush, and Best Actor, Peter O'Toole. This is about a man on the run who happens to run into a film set. They use him as a stunt man. Those movies are popular again because we have The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling available right now. And in the 80s, we had Hooper with Burt Reynolds as a stuntman. But this movie's great in plot, it's got great photography, it's got great makeup, it's got great reenactment of movie scenes. It really looks like a true behind the scenes look at making a movie. So if you got Peacock, you gotta watch The Stunt Man. State in Maine is more of a quiet film about filmmaking, which you could find on the Criterion channel. This too has an all-star cast. We got Philip Seymour Hoffman, we got Sarah Jessica Parker. It goes on. And this is about making a movie on a budget. Oh, I forgot, William H. Macy. And they leave one small town for another one because of some taxes that were gonna be too expensive. So they go to this little itsy bitsy town and they think it's gonna be cheaper because that town has an old mill and the name of the movie is The Old Mill. But they didn't really realize the old mill burned down decades earlier. What are they gonna do? Oh, God, it's like a little small town. They all know each other. Big Hollywood comes, everyone's impressed, and yet the actors aren't as impressed with a small town. Really terrific performances. Another great David Mamet film. I don't think it's his normal type. He usually has something more mysterious and something more intricate, but this is intricate in its own way, and it really, really pays off. I enjoyed State in Maine. Look at the stars. Patti LuPone. Oh. Then for his gays out there, I've got Gods and Monsters, which you could find on Here TV. It's based upon the true life story of the director of Bride of Frankenstein in his later years, played by Ian McKellen, who was Oscar nominated and actually should have won. He won 17 other Critics Awards for Best Actor. And he takes an interest into a young man, Brendan Fraser, who he invites in for lunch. And it's not really a sexual daddy thing, but it could be. But it's more of like, enjoying the beauty of a younger person and the younger person finding history and interest in an older man. All of this while Lynn Redgrave is serving them tea and crumpets, and she got an Oscar nomination as well. So this is a terrific movie all around, and I completely enjoyed it, and I bet you will too. Gods and Monsters. I had to eliminate so many movies on this list that I'll have to do a part 2. One way I eliminated is I try to stay away from movies you had to rent, but I couldn't stay away from this one, The Last Movie Star, with Burt Reynolds in one of his final great performances. He plays a washed up old movie star that gets invited to a film festival, love film festivals, where they are paying tribute to him until he realizes it's the smallest film festival in the world and it takes place in a seedy area. What? Anyway, he makes the most of it, or does he? Really good performance from Burt and a great ensemble cast. It's worth a few dollars to rent. It often does pop up on streamers, so if you want to wait, you can, but I really enjoyed it. And if she looks familiar, think of Modern Family. Yeah. Our next movie is kind of based upon a true story, if you could believe it. It's called Bowfinger, and you could find it on Stars. So Steve Martin plays a washed-up filmmaker, but he needs to make money, so he has to make a film. So Eddie Murphy plays a very famous movie star that would never be in one of Steve's films, but he's got a dead ringer. There he is. So Eddie Murphy, of course, plays 2 roles. So what Steve does is use him to pretend he's the Eddie Murphy character, and he does a lot of guerrilla filming where he doesn't really use sets. He just goes out in the street and films next to real people who might say, what the hell's going on here? But he's making a movie without a budget. All he has is money for film. He can't pay any actors, really. This guy is just like sort of a doofus, so he doesn't realize he's being scammed. It's very funny. Eddie Murphy is really terrific, one of his most underrated performances. And of course, Steve Martin's always enjoyable. Now, let's move on to the film that inspired this whole week, one you could barely watch. I wonder what it is, but are you wondering too? Let me know. Tell me what your guess was before I show it to you. Like, don't cheat. Anyway, let's go look now. New York, New York. You could find it on TCM this month. This movie, oh, I love this film. It stars Robert De Niro and Liza Minnelli. Came out in 1977. They have a volatile relationship. It starts out with them performing live as musicians, then they become studio people, then she goes on to make movies. This movie, directed by Martin Scorsese, he filmed it in a way that looked like a 1940s film, even with fake-looking sets in the background. When it came out in 1977, it came out to mixed reviews and it flopped at the box office. So they quickly cut out this song that cost $300,000 to do, 12-minute song, and they thought maybe a shorter version would sell, and it didn't. So then they added that song back, and they added a few other scenes, and then the reviews were better, but it still was never the hit that it should have been. It actually did okay at the Golden Globes with nominations for Best Picture, Actor, Actress, and Song. But you know what? Song-wise, even if you hate this movie, there is no way you could have not have acknowledged the songs. By the way, her coming down those stairs with that 12-minute song that got cut. Because you know the big song from this movie, don't you? You know it, right? It's New York, New York. How can this song not get an Oscar nomination? People have been singing this for decades. It came out in 1977. Yet, we all could still sing this song.
Start spreading the
We know this song. Now, you might think maybe there's a lot of other great songs that year that just heard it. No, there weren't. There were 2 from forgettable Disney movies, and there was this one from a Cinderella film. Do you remember this song from 1977? No. And I know there were 2 Disney songs nominated, so you probably think, oh, they're always great. But do you remember Candle on the Water from Pete's Dragon? Or do you remember Someone's Following You or something like that from The Rescuers? Those were not Disney's biggest movies, so those were not their biggest songs. And not to just slap the face of New York, New York for songs, Saturday Night Fever came out in 1977 too, and none of those songs were nominated. How Deep Is Your Love wasn't nominated because we had this song.
I'll make a brand new start of it in old New York.
We know they love this song. Where was its Oscar nomination? Also, the sets were great. The costumes, the sound, the acting. Oh, this really, thank God it has me as a fan and Mario Cantone. Well, that's our show of the week. What movies would you like to see in the sequel of this, of behind the scenes of movie making or theater going? I have one of those lined up. I hope you share, comment, and subscribe. As we leave, we're taking a look at another song that could have been Oscar nominated for Best Song in 1977 from New York, New York. This song is almost as great as New York, New York. So I don't know why they had 0 nominations in any category, let alone minimally 2 for Best Song. This song is also great. It's called But the World Goes Round. And by the way, Liza sang this live on the stage, no pre-recorded version.
But the world goes round. Sometimes your dreams get broken in pieces, but that doesn't matter at all. Take it from me, there's still gonna be a summer, a winter, a spring, and a fall. And sometimes a friend starts treating you bad, but the world goes round. And sometimes your heart breaks with a deafening sound. Somebody loses and somebody wins. That one day it's kicks, then it's kicks in the shins. But the planet spins and the world goes around and round and around and round and round. The world goes around and round and round.
Take that, Pete's Dragon.